Hey guys, welcome to another Beauty Ninjas Mask Monday. And today we are doing the addiction series. It's starting to go into the recovery series right now. So I'm going to put my, in my title, addiction / recovery series. Because this is basically when it all starts. I'm still in jail, okay? So I'm going to do a mask from Gracie Lou. It's from CURST Kosmetics. It's called Beyond Belief. It's a purifying charcoal mask. And it's got glycerin and tea tree extract. And anything that has tea tree extract I really like. Because I used to, well actually I still do have tea tree and a little like essential oil thing. So before I start this, let me go ahead and do it. Ooh. The disclaimer. This video might be triggering because I do talk about drugs, addiction. I do smoke on this and I cuss and all that good stuff. But if you need help, if you know someone who needs help with addiction, there is a website in my description box of every single video I do that you can click on it, and it gives you a toll-free number that's confidential. I don't know anybody who isn't an addict or knows somebody who is an addict or has somebody in their family that's an addict. So we have more of it on my dad's side than on my mom's side, from what I know of. Okay, so the last video I stopped when I got caught the second time. I mean, I went to this gas station, like the guy at the hotel ratted on me, and I went to a thrift store, which was across the street from the gas station, and they let me use their phone. And I thought to myself, either my sugar daddy's getting me or the cops are getting me. And the cops came, like, right in a minute. I was just too tired. I was just like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. And God did for me what I couldn't do for myself, and he got me arrested. So I don't know why this doesn't fit over the nose. Okay, hang on a second. So anyways, the cop was like, "Oh, Jessica, oh my God, you've changed so much. I remember when you used to be a manager here and there, and you used to have nice cars, and look at you now." And so he said, "You know you have a warrant." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You got anything on you?" And I was like, "No, I just smoked my last shit." And but I do have paraphernalia. So I opened up my bag and showed him everything I had, and had like a little here in a compartment and there in a compartment. And he was just like, "You know what? You don't even know how much you have, do you?" I was like, "No." So he like totally emptied the bag out, right? And he took all the paraphernalia, and he had gloves on, of course, and he threw it away, and he said, "I'm not going to charge you for this, but I got to take you." And so, he didn't even cuff me or anything, but they do have to cuff you before they drive into the jail, because there's like a door that goes up, kind of like a garage door, security door, and you drive in, and then it shuts down, and then they let you out the car. Well, yeah, anyway, so I asked him in the car if I could make a phone call to my mom. And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, they got me." And she was like, "Okay." So, so I went into jail, and you do the same procedure all the time. You take all your jewelry off, they search you. They take your shoes off, because you don't have shoes or nothing in booking, or socks. And, then you get your little lice shampoo thing done, and you squat, and all that good stuff. To take your fingerprints, and all that stuff again, and your picture again. And you get your little wrist bracelet with your number on it, which lets you use the phone. It's kind of sad, because at that point, I already knew the number by heart. Once you get that one number, that's your number forever. And so I could already use the phone while I was waiting for my bracelet. Anyways, so I got in, and, I went to this one pod. They had to put me in a separate pod, because there was a girl that I have a feud with in a different pod. Okay, like, this girl was crazy. Like, I could walk into the house, like, she'll be sitting there staring at me the second I walk in. I'd buy something from a dude, I'd have my stuff, and she would say I stole something from her. I hadn't even been around you girls. You're like way on the other side of the room. I just got here. I mean, that's kind of how it was, right? Anyways, so she's just nuts. So they put us in 2 separate pods. So I was in the pod with the ones who had the green jumpsuits. Felons have the blue, and then you have the greens, which is for violence. Some of them had orange, but you know, most of the ones that did have green, not green but blue, were in there from drug court. They just couldn't be in a pod with the other felonies. But anyways, and I met a lot of them were in there fixing to go to DRC or RSAT. RSAT is like a recovery prison. And I'm sitting there waiting to figure out what they're going to do with me. Anyway, so I got on the phone with my probation officer, and she said, well, yeah, you're going to sit for a while, right? So, you know, I would check in with her a few days, and my mom would check in with my drug court counselor. I don't know what they've got going on, but, you know. But I heard from my mom on a phone call that they're thinking about taking me to this place called John's Place, and it's a rehab for 28 days. And I was like, I really didn't want to go. So I was asking people in there that were in drug court if they'd been there before. And there were girls in jail that were in drug court for over 10 years because, you know, they couldn't manage their aftercare. You know, they'd get sent to RSAT or to prison. And when they came out, they still went to aftercare. And after they went to aftercare, you know, they relapsed and you're still in, you know. But anyways, a lot of them had been to this treatment center, and they told me, well, first off, you can't smoke. And I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, how's that going to happen? And then they were like, it's co-ed, so it's boys and girls. So I was like, oh, cool. You know, me and my little promiscuous self. And so me and my boyfriend were already separated, and I had been seeing this guy. And at that point, he was my motivation. Like, at one point before, I had my parents as my motivation, my daughter, and none of that worked. And here was this guy I was head over heels for, and he was going through a divorce. He was not a user, but anyways. So I was like, okay. I kind of like set to my mind, if they send me, they're going to send me. But if I don't have to, I don't have to. So I had like this plan set up in my head by the time I got to court, what I would say so I wouldn't have to. And my public pretender, he told me, after about 2 months, we went to court. And he told me they're shooting for John's Place. He said, are you willing to go? And I was like, I don't want to. And so when the judge called and the probation officer were looking at me, they were like, are you willing to take this 28 days? And I looked at my public defender like, oh, he goes, if I were you, I would take it. And I said, okay. And I said, the judge was like, do you have anything to say? And my mom was in drug court, sitting next to my drug court counselor. And I said, can my mom drive me? And the judge looked at my counselor. My mom said, is that okay with you guys? And looked at the probation officer, and they said, yeah. So, because after all the feuds and everything, my mom is my stone. And I knew I wouldn't, even with this guy I was in love with, I would have missed her more than anything, right? They said, okay, so I went back to jail and waited. Here's the thing. They say 28 days, you know, and if they don't pick you up by the 28th day, they have to release you back in the drug court. Well, they got me on day 28, and my mom came to pick me up. And I was like in the car, like putting my clothes. My clothes weren't fitting anymore because I had gained a little weight. Anyway, so we drove down there, and you know, I got my phone because you take your phone when you go to jail, but you know, get it back when you get out. And she's like, "Who are you calling? You don't need to be calling," and you know, and make sure that I got money on my phone. And I called this guy, and I'm telling him where I'm going. And he's like, well, see it as a brand new start, right? My mom's like, okay, well, you know, I don't think you need to be with any men right now. And I was like, okay. Well, so I'm thinking that I'm going to 28 days of treatment, and I'm going to come out and go back to drug court, right? So anyways, I was really scared. Like, it's so weird. I wasn't scared to walk the streets alone, get into cars with dangerous people, get into dangerous situations. Many times I could have been murdered, and none of that freaked me out. But I was scared to go to this treatment. I really was, because I didn't know anybody there. What am I supposed to, what are they going to do with me? I don't know anything. And so I went there, and I got, they do your assessment and everything, and it takes quite a while, and they search your stuff, and my mom had some of my stuff that I had while I was, while I got arrested, And so they searched through all that, and they gave me, okay, there's like so many things not allowed. You're not allowed to have perfumes or body sprays because they have alcohol in it. No mouthwash. Like, there's a whole bunch of shit you're not allowed to have. Certain jewelry you're not allowed to have, certain cosmetics, nothing that has a glass container, like a glass container, you're not allowed to have. Everything had to be plastic. Like this, you weren't allowed to have that because it's glass. Like anything that's glass, you're not, it's self-harm, stuff like that. And then of course they do a drug screen, and they do continuous drug screens through this treatment. So the first day I came in, and they have a structured schedule, okay? And they have these rules, like banana rules, which I don't understand. It's like, you can't carry a cup on the carpet, because you're going to spill it. And, it's a carpet. Okay, but, like, who wants to sit down on the couch and every time they want to take a sip to drink, go walk over there to get their cup so everybody's great, got their cup, and we got caught. It's like, all right, sorry, I need to put your cup away. But they had these groups, and they were 3 times a day. And one was the morning affirmation, where someone read from a book, a morning affirmation, which is kind of like a prayer. And then they had one in the afternoon, which more like with a counselor and activities, where they ask you things, or you watch like videos and then write something at the end. And then at night you had another one, which was more like a group, kind of like an AA, but inside a treatment. And then like during the day, you could see your counselor if you were lucky. And once a week they had treatment team. And treatment team, you weren't there, but they could discuss how you were doing your progress, right? So at first, I wasn't talking to anybody. I would not share in the group. I was just listening to people. Well, for them, that's not progress. But I don't know what to talk to these people about. But I kind of get it now because, I was willing to talk to these kind of people out there. But now in here, I don't want to talk about my shit. I don't want to talk about what's going on with me. And I honestly, at the time, didn't even know what was going on with me because I think I'm fine. And the thing is, it's like I couldn't focus on anything. They would talk and say stuff, and I'd listen, and 2 seconds later, my mind drifted off somewhere way out there. I don't even know where I'm at. And that's kind of like, so I had a really rough start getting in there. When they would have their, once a week, they'd have real Alcoholics Anonymous meetings where the people from the real Alcoholics Anonymous would come in and spend their time with us and do a meeting so we could see how it is when we get out. I would never share. And they would come week after week just waiting for me to share something. And I would never say anything, right? The readings, okay, they give you a big book. I couldn't read that shit. I'd start to read it, and then my mind would drift off somewhere else. Or like the activities they would give me, where you would read and do an activity, or like read from a book. It's almost like I mislearned like everything on how to read. It was really crazy. So then sometimes during the day they would give us, like when it's a nice weather day, because it was at the end of summer, and they said, it's nice weather, they had a volleyball thing out there, and we would play volleyball. And my body was not in condition anymore. Even though I walked for days and days, like doing like real, like regular activities, I had to learn that all again. And my biggest problem when I was there is I was still focusing on this guy. He was still my motivation, right? And another problem was like in jail, I wasn't obsessing about the drug because, you know, I'm in jail. I can't go nowhere. I can't do nothing. You know, I accepted it. But this place, you could leave out the back and run away and go MIA, hitchhike, and go, you know, be on the run again. And to me, that made me obsess about should I not, constantly. And I was wearing my own mind out on all these thoughts and shit. And that's just the beginning of it. But I'll get to the rest of it next time. Like, okay, like the next Mask Monday, I promise I'll do it because I'm going to shout out my girl at work, Kat. She was really disappointed I didn't do one last week, and so I promise I'll stay on the ball. Yeah, so that's going to be it for this week. Let me go ahead and take this off. I like how it stayed in place except for the lip area. The lip area didn't really cling too good, but it smells good and it feels really good. And it's a mask that you don't have to rinse off. You can just pat it down. And I find this kind of technique to be, depends on what kind of mask, but sometimes they are the perfect primers. Okay. So shout out to you, Cat Girl. And thanks everybody for watching. I highly appreciate it. And down in the description box will be a link to the other beauty ninjas and see what they're doing this week. Because it's not always just about the mask. Sometimes we're talking, sometimes we're unboxing, sometimes, you know.